Hi, my name is E.J. LeBlanc, and I work with the Program for the Enhancement of Teaching and Learning here at the University of South Alabama. And this is Dr. Litchfield, an instructional designer here at South Alabama. Today she's going to be sharing with us some of the techniques she uses in designing her online classes.
Hi, welcome to this short session on how to motivate your students a little bit more in online classes. I am a self-proclaimed expert only because I've been teaching online classes since 1998. I think I'm on about my 30th class. So it takes a while to learn this, so you're going to get the benefit of some tips and tricks that I've used over the years. I think probably the most important thing that you can do in an online class is the threaded discussions. And if we look at the screen here, you can see how many times I have responded to the students. Mine comes up in yellow. And what I try to do each week is respond to each student the first week, which does take a little time, but if you respond to each student the first week, it really helps to develop interactions with the instructor. Now, one of the things that you can do is with the students, and I require mine to respond a certain amount of times, you can sort by author. And when you sort by author, you can see how many times the students have responded, and here you can see how many times I've responded. Now, in subsequent weeks, I can't respond to everybody, and so what I do is I have a chart where I respond to half of the class one week and half of the class the next week. This is really the only way that you can keep track of it. But I can't emphasize enough the importance of the threaded discussions. Now, in this particular class, if we look at the screen, I have another threaded discussion called the water cooler. And I call it the water cooler because it's a class about business and management. For my educational psychology one, I also have an additional thread that's called the teacher's lounge because a lot of them are teachers. And so in the water cooler or the teacher's lounge, this is something that the students can do that I don't necessarily participate in. This is where they can ask each other questions, or they can answer things, or they can talk about things. And for some of the water coolers or teachers' lounges at the beginning of the semester, I say, did anybody do anything fun on break? Or what are you going to do during Mardi Gras? Or what are you going to do during Christmas break? So it's just kind of an extra thing that's not required. So threads are very, very important. Another thing that I do with my classes is I give them audio feedback. And I will just email that directly to them. And that's really easy to do with online program called Audacity. It's a free download. It's really easy to do too. And I find out that I can give my students a lot more feedback and a lot more personalized feedback. You know, if I have to type, I tend to write, good job, excellent, I enjoyed your paper. But with the audio feedback, I give them a lot more. And the feedback that I've had from the students really indicates that they like it quite a bit. And it's very easy to do. Record the audio file, save it, and just email it as an attachment. Another thing that I think is very important is the announcement function of the class. And if we look at the screen here, you can see that I have some announcements. There are not many here because this class just started about 3 weeks ago. But by the end of the semester, you should have, or I do, have lots and lots of announcements, because this is where you announce things to the students. And if one student has a question about something, chances are that another student is going to have a question also. So rather than answering just that one question, the one question from one student, I will post it in the announcements. I also use this announcement for providing weekly summaries. In my classes from the threaded discussions, I will provide a week 1 summary, week 2, week 4, or 3, or whatever. And I find that this motivates the students because they have a chance to have a closure for the week, and they know that I'm really paying attention and that I am reading their threads. So the announcement section works very well for that. Another thing that I do in classes is I try to incorporate I incorporate videos. and I try to incorporate an introductory video in week 1 of each one. An introductory video gives you a chance to do a motivational, upbeat, welcome to the class, glad you're here, we're going to learn a lot of things in this class. So that's really a chance to hook them, and it's very important. And these days, doing a video is really easy because they have the flip cameras, they have all sorts of little things that you can use and that are very, very easy. So I strongly encourage you to do that introductory video. Another thing I do in my classes is I try to put pictures of myself in there. This is one from a recent trip to Japan on the top of a volcano, and so I try to put these in different at the beginning of different weeks. Now, when I don't put the pictures there, I put cartoons. Another thing that I do is I put in the syllabus. If we look at the syllabus, here's a picture of me balancing an egg. I'm standing on the equator in Quito, Ecuador, balancing an egg on the head of a nail. I guess I just lucked out, or maybe it is true that things balance really well on the equator. I don't know. It made a good story. And so I'll try to put pictures of myself in the syllabi. Another thing that I do, if I don't put pictures of myself, this particular class, if we look at the screen, is a management class. So I've got a Dilbert cartoon for every week. And so I try to incorporate a lot of cartoons and a lot of graphics. Here's another one with another syllabus where I have graduated from high school in Hawaii. And so each one of these I include to give the students a little bit more information about me, and so that they get to see me kind of in a different light. So, whatever you can do in your class to get students to build a sense of community will help. Now, as my class goes on, if we look at the screen here, I do have different, you can see that there are 2 threads here, discussion thread A and discussion thread B. They're both the same question, but what I've found is that I think in this particular class I might have had about 20 people. And I require the students to respond 3 times a week. If you have 20 students responding 3 times a week, at any given time you can sign on and have 60 things to read, which is really a lot. So what I try to do is I divide them into groups, same question. They can look at the other ones if they want, but when they get in here, they only have to read half as much. So that's another technique that kind of helps the students out a little bit. You have to still read the same amount, but the students only have to read half as many. So there are several techniques that you can use in your class to motivate the students, like silly pictures of yourself. And there are things that you can do to develop the sense of community, developing the threaded discussion questions where they can give their opinion, developing the water coolers where they can talk among themselves, the announcements where they know that you have read everything, and then, videos of yourself, audios. Another thing that I do is I give audio feedback. It's really easy to do, and you'll find that you can give a whole lot more feedback instead of just typing, oh, it was a good paper, you did a good job, you had lots of detail. When you do it by audio, you can give a lot more verbal feedback, and the response from the students has been great. They really like getting that audio feedback. And if you use a free download program like Audacity and have a headset, that's really all you need. You do it, save it as an MP3 file, attach it to an email, and send it to them. So that is something that I've done that really adds a lot of personal touch to the class. So there's lots of things you can do. Remember, the students are out there, they're isolated, they're by themselves, so you want to do as much as you possibly can to make them feel part of the community and to make them feel that you are listening to them and that you are interacting with them. So, EJ, how's that?
That was outstanding. Dr. Litchfield, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for sharing with us your experience and expertise regarding designing online courses.
Okay, thank you.